Hi everyone, it's Jason again with Planted in Detroit, and today I've decided to talk about Christmas cactus, which it may be a Christmas cactus, could also be a Thanksgiving cactus, and even an Easter cactus. They basically just call them Christmas cactus for all three in most like big box stores, because that's what people are familiar with, and they're basically the same plant. If you are curious on which one you have to look at the leaves and the different shape of, they have like notches on them. But anyway, let's talk about some care. I have two right here. I do think they are two different varieties, but just by the coloration, this one's a lot darker and then this one's much lighter. But I also think this one's a lot older too, which might be a result. But anyway, Christmas cactuses are native to Brazil. They like high humidity, but they don't like a lot of heat. They mostly do well in like 68 degrees, which in Michigan, that's about like room temperature year round. If you have AC in the summer, which I don't, but they're fine. Now, you can mist them daily to provide that high humidity, but a warning, you might attract some gnats, some aphids, or little pests flying around because they love like a damp, warm environment to thrive. What I do instead, I don't really mist them. Occasionally I will, but I put them in my bathroom on the windowsill where they get bright indirect sunlight for most of the day, and then they also get that humidity when I shower, and it's good enough for them. And I have a small bathroom, so the humidity stays there for a good amount of time. In order to get these guys to bloom, like right here, I have one hot pink one. It's best to give them 14 hours of total darkness. They love their beauty sleep. So what I've done is I set a calendar reminder when to put them to bed, when to wake them up, and I put them in a closet, and I don't open it ever. Now I tried for a couple weeks with this guy, and it was kind of successful. I had one, but it was like super root bound, and I just transplanted this. And I knew it was ready for a number of reasons. The growth rate was much slower. It was still healthy, but it wasn't growing as much. And it looked like it was trying to bloom, but then it was like little tiny balls of the buds kept falling off. And then the most obvious, I could see the roots on top and underneath in the drainage hole. So I knew it was ready to transplant. Now, I'm not going to try to get it to bloom right now because it's just getting used to its new home. I think in about a month, it'll be ready. And you can honestly get them to bloom at any time because big box stores have them blooming in like December for Christmas time, to take advantage of that. But you'll notice if you buy them in December, because the winter time in the Midwest is so dark most of the time, that the buds will last maybe a week or two and then just die off. But in order to get it to stay for a very long time, they love lots of sunlight, indirect sunlight. Now, if you can put them like outside on your porch or in your backyard, but you want to make sure it's in a shaded area because too much direct sunlight can actually burn these guys. And you don't want that. And also, if you are taking it outside, you want to transition it because that can also shock the plant, and in some cases it can kill the plant. If you have like a new plant that's not that well established, it can basically just burn up and just die in front of you. So just easily transition it to the outdoors. Now, when you're ready to bring it in, in the fall time, I would keep it quarantined away from other houseplants that you may have. And you might want to treat it with like an organic pesticide if you see any bugs. Definitely keep an eye out for at least like 2 weeks, maybe a month. Just so you're making sure you're not bringing any bugs into your home. Now, okay. Now what I love about these guys, they grow very quickly. So every year, honestly, I've only had this one for about a year, a little less than a year, and it's double in size. And I've also propagated many of these leaves, these little notches, and it's super easy. Now, if you have one that's still kind of young, I would definitely recommend transplanting it every spring before the growing season. Well, right when it starts. So you can have a big, healthy plant. I mean, you can keep it in a small pot, but it'll stunt the growth and then it'll stay kind of small. Now, if you want to propagate some new ones, or if you just want, for example, with this plant, it's kind of like lopsided, like one side's super full, the other side's not as full. So what I've been trying to do is propagate new ones in here to try to fill that in and balance it off. And I think in a few weeks I'll kind of trim back the longer pieces. But all you do is you just twist it completely off until it breaks off right at like the intersections. And you can't just do it with one, because I mean you can, but the success rate isn't that great. It's best if you have 3 or more, and that'll be strong enough for it to form a whole new plant, because it needs kind of like a lot of energy to just start up new instead of hanging on to an established plant. But after you twist it off, you want to let it sit on like a paper plate or like a piece of paper towel for a couple of days. I usually wait like 3 days. And you'll know it's ready to transplant when the bottom, where it was like an open wound, where that's completely dry and calloused over. The reason to have it dry out is because it's basically an open wound. It's like if you cut off your arm, it needs to heal because it's susceptible to like rot and different bacteria to get in there and kill off the plant. So you want to make sure that is nice and healed 3 to 4 days, and then you can stick it in some water. And you want to keep it kind of moist for like the first week, and then later on you can just do your normal routine, like water it once a week or once every other week. And then you'll notice it's going to start little tiny leaves, and it'll just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then a mistake that I've made a lot with these plants, especially when it's trying to bloom, is I'll be a little rough just picking it up, or like I'll just slightly tap it, and either like a brand new leaf or like a brand new bloom will just kind of fall right off the plant, because it's so small and it's attached by literally like a hair, that it falls off, and you can't just stick that back in the ground. Even with a bud, if you can see a bud like this size, it still can just fall right off if you hit it with your arm or brush it the wrong way. So just just be delicate, like be very careful not to do that. But I mean, it's a plant. Even if it falls off, you can get it to grow. In a couple weeks, I'm gonna try to get it to bloom, and I'll give you an update. But that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can comment down below, but I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye. Blah, blah.